This content was brought to you by ReloQuest, your innovative travel management solution. Welcome to the Service Department News Podcast, where we discuss all the latest news and developments from across the service department, apart hotel and extended stay sectors. So welcome to the latest Service Department News Podcast. I'm George Sell, editor of Service Department News, and I'm joined today by Mark Skinner, partner at hotel advisory firm The Highland Group, and Eric Myers, VP of Franchise Development at My Place Hotels of America. Welcome, gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about the extended stay market in the US and how it is proving particularly resilient against the current coronavirus situation, particularly at the economy end of the market. Mark, the segment is looking really healthy compared with traditional hotels in the US. Can you give us some numbers to illustrate this and offer your thoughts on the main reasons for it?
Yes, I can do. For the month of March, according to STR, hotel RevPAR declined 52% rounded compared to March 2019, just for the month. For comparison, all extended stay hotels declined 38%, but the breakout reveals some big differences. The economy extended stay segment declined 9% RevPAR during the same period. So it's about a fifth of the decline of the overall hotel industry. Mid-price extended stay were at 32%, and upscale extended stay were at 45%. So all three segments were well below the overall hotel industry decline. A couple of reasons for that. One, the product itself, having kitchens, relatively low staffing, is very compatible to a lot of the demand that is left out traveling and using hotels. Just a couple of examples: the healthcare industry, FEMA, and first responders that are going into help particularly bad hit areas. And the product's well suited with kitchens in every room. And you can go to the grocery store, they're open in most areas, restaurants might not, and eat and live in your rooms, still essentially practicing social distancing, whereas you might not be able to do that in alternative accommodation. The other reason, the main one at the lower priced end, and why that segment has been least impacted, is because it has a relatively high percentage of really long-term, essentially residential guests. They have not been affected by the travel restrictions anywhere near as much as your typical leisure or business traveler. A final note on it: the construction industry is a big generator of demand for extended stay hotels at the lower price end, and by and large, bigger construction projects, particularly critical ones and infrastructure, have continued.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Eric, does this tally with your experience across your portfolio at My Place?
Yeah, I'll probably touch on a few of the same things that Mark just talked about, but yeah, the numbers that Mark discussed are very similar to what we see here at My Place. As a brand, these numbers kind of line up with what we've been experiencing. There's still good extended stay demand. Our national sales team, has been able to work through that demand, and actually over the next 30 days here, we have, they've contributed 47% of our business from the national sales team. So they're still making those connections, and a lot of that business is coming from what Mark touched on, construction workers that are still able to work on projects in certain states that is still available. So we've been capitalizing on that. And then healthcare providers and families that may have been displaced or moving during this time. So we've been able to capitalize on some of those situations. Actually, in fact, in certain markets, we have properties that are actually up year to date over 2019. As a brand, we had focused on market placement, so in suburban areas and interstate markets, and they continue to show demand for extended stay products. So as of today, we currently have 5 projects that are under construction across the country. So we're excited about that part. And we're continuing conversations with prospective franchisees. So we really like this segment, the extended stay segment, and we're excited to be a part of that. We've been working with our current existing franchisees. We put in place an analytical weekly STAR report related to their comp set so that they can really focus on revenue management during these time periods. Along with that, they work with our revenue management team from the brand. So a lot of communication has helped a lot of operators get through this time. By implementing that tool, we were able to see and actually track market shares, and we've been gaining market share in each of our comp sets. So definitely seeing that swing towards extended stay. With our 40 years in the hospitality business, it really led us to the seeing the demand for extended stay, and the growing demand even 5-6 years ago. But now it's really come to light. And Mark touched on it. Having the kitchen in the room gives that guest the feeling of safety that they can just stay in their room, grab groceries, be able to have that kind of that flight to safety feel, so they don't have to go out as much. And I think that really brings a lot of value to the guest.
Mm-hmm. Mark, from this side of the pond, it seems that there are some quite large regional variations in the effects of the virus, the numbers of cases, and also with how different states are dealing with it. Is there a big variation in how the hospitality sector in the main has been affected?
Yes, I think the bigger markets, urban areas with heavy international travel have been hit the hardest. And obviously in the case of New York, that's would qualify on that score totally, but it's also had very high incidences of COVID. Then the tertiary markets have been less affected, and the interstates, the more rural areas, less populated, have not felt the impact as much as the urban centers, gateway markets, which have a lot of air travel related demand as opposed to driving demand.
Mm-hmm. Eric, have the different rules between states regarding lockdown affected any of your properties?
Not really, as far as the actual operations of the property. Initially when the state started issuing the stay-at-home orders and the essential business orders, each state was a little different, and you really had to read through the criteria to make sure that the hotels still fit the essential business. But once we got through that hurdle, and each state and we realized that yes, hotels do fit the essential business, we were able to continue operations. Our national sales team immediately started reaching out to municipalities and hospitals to offer, our facility as a clean, safe environment for first responders. We put together flyers for the properties from the brand level, flyers for the properties, and immediately started, our social media campaigns. help in those efforts. Then in even as early as early March, the brand supplied all properties with the AHLA handbook as far as COVID guidelines. So we provided that to make sure that all the operators knew exactly what they needed to do in order to keep their properties open and clean. And you know, it's really been our goal to be the ultimate resource for our franchisees. And I'm proud to say that in all 26 states, all 55 of our properties are open and operating. So it's been a trying time, but yeah, we're getting through it.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a little bit more about some of the initiatives you've brought in to support the properties and the communities in which they serve, particularly the first responders?
Yeah, you know, as I touched a little bit earlier, right away the national sales team reached out to try to secure some of that business and you know, help with providing clean facilities so they had a safe place to stay. In addition to that, My Place Hotels of America has announced the launch of a brand awareness program, but basically to help our heroes initiative, which was a campaign dedicated to providing financial support for first responders. So between now and May 31st, guests that want to help support first responders by using the promo code Help Our Heroes. If they book stays between now and December 31st, for each qualifying reservation, My Place Hotel of America will donate 5% of the cost of the room to the First Responders Children's Foundation. So we've really been trying to do what we can to help first responders and also help our operators get through this time period.
Great. Mark, there's been quite a lot of focus obviously on the sector's performance lately. You know, it's one of the few bright spots in hospitality at the moment. Do you think this strong performance is likely to continue post-pandemic? And do you think the spotlight that it's enjoying in industry media might be reflected by the investment community and the major hospitality groups? Will they be looking with a renewed interest at extended stay?
Yeah, I think so. I think the segment, particularly at the lower price points, are going to weather the storm better than the overall hotel industry. I think coming out of it, the question will be what happens when the extended stay hotels that are currently closed, which are predominantly in the upper mid-price and upscale category, when they reopen, plus the rooms that were under construction, which were both in those categories and numbered about 40,000, 45,000 at the end of the year, when they start effectively becoming back into competitive supply, they're going to be going after business, if history repeats itself, which is longer term in nature and discounted. So it could become more competitive within the extended stay segment itself. But I would expect it to emerge from this crisis, particularly at the lower price points, again demonstrating greater resilience against economic shocks, if you like. I know already that private equity is taking another look at the economy segment in particular, because it has performed so well during the last 30 days or so, longer. I mean, we're already well into April. The data's not out yet, but I'm hearing anecdotally it's still going. I think that the institutions will take another look coming out, and I think the outlook is very, very good for the sector under the circumstances.
Great stuff. Mark, Eric, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for listening to the Service Department News podcast. If you'd like to keep up to date with all the latest industry news, head over to servicedepartmentnews.com and sign up to our twice-weekly newsletter. Service Department News is part of the International Hospitality Media portfolio. This November, IHM is launching the Urban Living Festival in London, welcoming urban innovators and investors at the cutting edge of contemporary hospitality and real estate. Don't miss out on a great opportunity to reconnect with your peers and investors face to face, while helping to define where we stay, live and work. For more details, visit urbanlivingfestival.com.